Okay, so how does this start again?
It's hello and welcome to I'm Not Here, a podcast where, what do we say? A podcast where we desert our listeners and leave them with abandonment issues.
That's terrible. We're like Steve from Blue's Clues.
Oh, don't even get me started. That was where it all started.
I am wise, I am strong. I am loved, I am here. I am wise, I am strong. I am loved, I am here.
Welcome to I Am Here, a podcast where Gabi and Amarilis abandon you for a year. Just kidding. Hello.
Was it a year?
Yeah, it's been a year. Over a year. It's pretty bad. We're sorry and we love you.
Listen, I wasn't even gonna apologize.
I was gonna apologize.
I know. I think that's just so telling of how we are.
Yes. We ghosted our listeners.
And we totally had a ghosting episode and everything. And I was like, you know what? I'm gonna say it. I ghost. You said you ghost too.
Well, we warned them. Now they know. Oh, that's horrible.
No, it is horrible. It's just the truth of where we are or have been.
Yeah, I think how many people can be honest about their ghosting issues?
I think a lot of people can be honest about it. It's the fact of, okay, are we gonna change it? That's we even started like that. We're like, we're just gonna try and see what happens, right? We went, we did it for a few months. We tried different things, and then we realized, I don't know, I could say for me, we were like over what's that word?
Overcommitting.
Oh, that's a good one. Yes, that one.
That's because that's me. I do that all the time as well. That's the whole reason. Already got calls and stuff. They're like, hey, since you didn't hang out yesterday, you want to hang out today? You want to do this? Want to do that? So I was like, I have a therapy appointment through telehealth, so I can't.
Oh, that's terrible.
Well, you know what? It's not true, but at least I this is therapeutic for us because we get to talk and have a fun time. So yeah. I didn't feel like starting a fight today. So
yeah.
The crazy thing is though, I don't lie. Like I don't do it. Like if I do it, it's like in an embellishment of a story. And then most of the time, like right afterwards, like there are very few times I ever like just keep going with it. But like I say something and it's ridiculous and people are like, really? And then I'm like, no. Like I can't lie. And that's why I suck at a lot of things. And like in my defense, people don't respect boundaries.
They don't.
So
and I think maybe that's part of it too, of like learning like, okay, this is the only way people will leave me alone. And
which is not okay.
No.
And I know it's not okay, but like
yeah. Sometimes it's like the defense mechanism.
Reasons why like I ended up not coming. And a lot of it I kept to myself, but like it would be like, hey, I'm doing the podcast and I'm not available from this time to that time. Oh, it's only going to take you like 30 minutes, right? No, it takes longer. And they're like, oh, and then they're like, and then they'd be texting me during the podcast, like telling me that they're coming over. And I'm like they don't take it seriously if I say it's the podcast. So I have to like.
That's frustrating.
Anyway.
I think I underestimated the amount of work a podcast is, even though people tell you this stuff or like you hear from other podcast hosts, they're like, oh my gosh, there's so much work, blah, blah, blah. And you're like, oh, okay, it's a lot of work. Sure, I can handle a lot of work. But you also have other work and other life obligations and a whole pandemic. You know, that's fine. And it's estimated how much sacrifice, I guess it would take, and I overestimated how much I guess I could do, because the talking and the hanging out is fun, but it's almost like the emotional baggage that came along with some of the things that we were talking about and just processing and just life outside of it, plus the editing, plus all these like keeping up with the media. I was like, okay, maybe it's a little bit too frequent. We were trying to do it every week.
Yeah, that's a lot. That's no.
And like now we could laugh and be like, yeah, that's a whole lot.
I have lots of problems, but like when it's
She said I got a lot of problems.
I got a lot of problems. But like one of the main things though, I realized that this was like far away. I don't know if I'm too loud, but like one of the things that I realized is just like I never wrote things down. I didn't realize it until like the pandemic because like we had Zoom meetings and it was like, okay, so when you have to go somewhere, like I don't know how it is for other people, but like for me, like if I have to go somewhere, I have to like mentally prepare for where I'm going, what I'm gonna do, who I'm gonna see. Like I have to prepare myself.
Why
and
that?
Huh?
Like anxiety wise?
I don't know. I don't probably. I have to go through it in my head, like where I'm gonna go, like and what I'm gonna do, and before I do it. Otherwise, like it just I'm gonna get lost. So like that's my thought process. So like, and I'm pretty sure that's a regular thing. But like with Zoom and with the pandemic, you just turn on a computer and the people are there. Yeah. So I didn't write down when I had a class, when we had podcast, when I was supposed to hang out with people, like, and during the pandemic, I think it was like because I was like, well, I don't have to, because like I just got to turn on my computer and then everyone's there. And the problem with that was that obviously that got all jumbled up. And then I, like, as we were talking about being overcommitted, I had this like idea that, oh, I can get to everything. So yeah, I'm like, all right. And so I would say yes to several people, not knowing or remembering that I had like important things. And when I say important things, I'm talking about doctor appointments. I'm talking about class.
Like I didn't have so much of that, because I'm like, when people are like, oh, let's hang out, I don't really have that experience. So I'm like, I do that by myself.
But I'm just thinking about the nature of your job. Like you have to set up appointments, like in order to go to them and do them. So it's probably like, it's just standard procedure. So I'm like wondering if maybe that's why it was like not as a big of a like an issue for you. Because I'm like, I do things on the fly, as you know. Like, I think we both sometimes do like things on the fly. Mm-hmm. So it's like, I'm used to just like, let's hang out, or me calling someone, let's hang out. And I think when you do that so much, like people get accustomed to that. And like, it's weird because then I have
to be spontaneous and just be like, oh yeah, I have this free time. But sometimes you don't have the free time. And even if you do have the free time, you don't have the free energy. Like, I don't have, like, I'm not in that mood to hang out. I'm really exhausted and don't have the energy level to go and socialize. Sometimes I can't.
I feel that.
I have to like psych myself up. Even though it's fun and even if I'm looking forward to it, I have to really like psych myself up to be like, okay, you're gonna go out tonight. You're gonna meet this person and you're gonna have a good time. And you're gonna get dressed, and I know that takes effort, Amarilis. You like getting dressed, but sometimes it takes effort and mental energy to do these things. But you're gonna go do it, and you're gonna put on a playlist, and you're gonna have a good time. Okay? I'm like, all right, can I take a nap first? And then I respond to myself and I say, yes, you can take a nap. I have to like psych myself up. It's work.
No, that makes sense. Like, it's so funny because like, I don't know. I know we're not talking about introvert extrovert stuff right now, but like
it seems like we just went there.
It's just interesting because like when I'm gonna go hang out with someone, I like I gotta hang out with myself. And like this is a recent development where like I noticed that this works more for me, where I'm like you said, hyping myself up. But like it's weird because like I spend a lot of time in my room. I'm weird though because I talk to myself when I'm alone. Like you said, you're gonna have fun. Like you say, you're gonna have fun. And then I start like quoting random TikToks, walking around my room.
That's so funny.
So like if that's what like gets me hyped up, and then I put on music, and then so I understand. Like
yes, it's crazy because like I could be so drained. And like certain people in my life have learned this because people tend to believe, oh, Amarilis is so energetic and she's electrica and all these things. That's true, and she said, yeah.
Yeah, no, that's true, but
no, I'm like, I do, but it comes from certain places. So I'm like, like I already know. It's just like once I'm finished work or even like interacting socially talks, so like I like it, but it is draining because I am an introvert. No matter what people think I am, I'm still very introverted. So it takes mental energy to do that. So I already know. I'm like, all right, I'm gonna be around people. Go take a shower. You know, I'm like, I can go take a shower, and I'll take a shower and I have my music on. I put my shower and I come out and I'm like, whoa, I'm ready. Like, I don't know what it is, but the water is.
That makes sense too. Yeah, it's the water and like the alone time too. Because when you think about it, you're alone in the shower. Like, I mean,
nobody's in there with me.
Yeah, like you're talking to yourself internally or like listening to music.
There's a lot of thinking. Yes.
There's a lot of thinking. Yeah, it's just so funny because like I go through an internal monologue, like not internal, an external monologue where I like talk to myself and I imagine, I'm like, all right, if this situation happens, like let's say like I'm like, okay, so next time that this happens, like blah 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 happens, this is what I'm gonna say and this is how I'm gonna say it, and then I practice like my speech.
I don't think, okay, like I don't know. I've heard so many people say that they talk to themselves or they look themselves in the mirror and hype themselves up or even rehearse like you're talking about. But now I'm wondering because I've only heard women do that. So like the people who I know who do that have only, and it doesn't mean that it's only women that do this. Yeah. But the people that I know who have said they talk to themselves and they answer back and forth and they do the whole rehearsal is only women. I haven't heard any guys say or express that. So either guys don't do it as much or guys don't admit that they do it.
Interesting. Like I know that personally when I'm in the room, like this happens to me, but not like when I'm doing things around the house and being weird. That's just normal. But like when I'm watching TV, like I've been watching
because I just think of you and all your home videos where you're just being.
Wait, can I post the picture, the video on the? Okay, so on the I Am Here Instagram, there's gonna be an interesting video that I think everyone should watch. It is
but the thing is, like the cow one was just one of so many. You would just like record.
Okay, so we'll introduce them.
And you would just be doing like, I'm like, Gabriela's just a theater kid who just never got on stage.
That's so hilarious. That's true. I've never did. I think I auditioned. No. Okay, I know we're jumping around. But
welcome to our brains. Sorry.
Yes, welcome. Yeah, that's good. I was gonna say, so you're talking about, okay, so first things first, there's gonna be an interesting video. It's 17-year-old Gabi accidentally.
17? Oh.
Yeah, I was 17. 17-year-old Gabi accidentally. Yeah, breaking a cow from the nativity scene. But it's very entertaining. Okay, the other thing, you said that never went on stage. One time I auditioned for some like role because I didn't want to, but my friends were like, it'll be fun, let's go. And I misunderstood the assignment completely. I was supposed to have a monologue or something, and I straight up showed up without anything. And they were like, it's okay, like your group will come up and you guys will say something. And I'm like, okay. I misunderstood the assignment and I was supposed to have several lines and I picked only one line from like the Christmas Carol, and I was supposed to be like Tiny Tim is a singer. That's not, is he a character?
Oh my gosh, Gabriela, Tiny Tim is a character. He's
okay,
with the cane. Tiny Tim is a weird singer, isn't he? Like something about
through
the
window.
Yes, I've never heard that until I was an adult, and I was talking to a guy. His name was Tim, and he's like Tiny Tim, and he showed me the video. And I'm like, never heard this in my life. It was very creepy.
That's so funny. Oh my gosh.
So you were supposed to be Tiny Tim.
Oh yeah, for like one line. So I guess I was supposed to read multiple lines and I only read one line that was Merry Christmas. So like when we all went up.
It was just Merry Christmas where he was like, Merry Christmas to all.
Yes, that one. Okay, yes. So I was
No, bless each one of us. I don't know what he says.
and God bless us all, or something like that. Maybe
Yes.
Christmas, something Christmas and God bless us all, something like that. I don't remember. It was one line. And like everyone had these like ridiculous monologues and they were like acting and it all was really cool. And then it got to me and then I was like, Merry And I was like, Merry Christmas. Like, I don't even remember what I said. And then like everyone stared at me, expecting me to keep going. And I was like, I still remember this. The theater teacher was just like, thank you. No, that's it.
Oh my God.
Like in the movies, it's like, thank you.
It's such an awkward feeling. Oh man. I auditioned once in high school because I thought that's the thing to do, you know?
Yeah.
Audition for a play.
What'd you audition for?
Girl, I don't remember. Oh, I do remember. Because it was more one of those things like, oh yeah, like, you know, I had friends who were really into theater and whatever, and they were like, oh yeah, Amarilis, try out, just, you know, just audition, go for it, blah blah blah. And I'm like, I just show up. It was Schoolhouse Rock, but it was an improv show, you know, like it was improv. So most of it was like they had a few lines, but most of it was improv. So they were doing a lot of the game where they kind of one of the exercise they put you in like a position, you know, and the other person in like a position. And then they just say action, and you're just supposed to make up the scene from wherever you're standing and kind of go with what the other person was doing. And I was like, I had no idea. I was like, oh, and plus I'm shy and I'm isolated. I'm already like socially awkward. I don't know how to interact with people. So it was like, you know, we were like, that's the perfect what? The perfect storm for like complete failure?
No, most theater kids that I know are, wow, am I insulting them? I was like, they're shy and
they're gonna all right and be like, no, it's not true. And condoning stereotypes of theater kids.
I'm telling you about the people I know. A lot of the people I know are theater.
And they're gonna come at you next. Just like, tell me what you really think about me, Gabriela.
Well, I appreciate that you're listening if you are.
Oh my God.
Great.
Amaris.
Good job in all the plays. Oh, but like they should have told you that number one rule of improv. It's yes and.
Yeah, I didn't learn that until like years later when I worked at like Disney. But not then. I was not meant to be there. And it was evident because I got cut. And I was like, cool, I don't want to do it anyway. And they're like, the next semester, they're like, audition again. I'm like, nope, my like social anxiety will not allow this. I'm not doing this. But it's crazy because I was thinking about this before too. Like, I was never like a theater kid in school, but we grew up being on stage and we grew up performing. So like, we had a childhood and a like upbringing that is not really typical for a lot of people. So it's really funny that both you and I sucked at the theater auditions. I don't know what it is. Maybe it was just the lines. I don't know, being in a setting outside of the family, but we grew up on stage.
Yeah, I remember you were always dancing and singing and doing cool stuff. You know,
but here's the thing I was thinking about, and I was talking to my sister just yesterday or the day before. I was talking to Alicia, and I'm like, remember coming home like from school, just a regular weekday, you're just living your life, and this would happen to us so often. I don't know if it would happen to you, but we come home just chilling, you know, mom would pick us up from grandma's house, we're ready to go, like, you know, wind down, get ready for the next day, and we'll check the answering machine because we had an answering machine. We check the answering machine because the little light was blinking, and then it would be one of the nuns from church talking about, huh?
That just triggered me. Keep going.
Oh no! It's just like, oh, this is Hermana so and so, and we're calling because your aunt told us that you're gonna be playing the role of the angels and the shepherds in the next coming nativity like play at church. So we have practice at this time on Saturday, and we expect you to be there. Thank you. And just hang up, and we would just all look at each other like, what the heck? When did we agree to this? And then we look at our parents, and we look at our parents like, why did you say it's okay? And they're like, no, we didn't say you could go. Now we have to drive you over there. And we would get stuck because our aunts and our other family members and our extended family members would volunteer us, and we would just get random calls and we would have to show up because nobody knew how to say no.
That's a mood.
You know, all the time.
Yeah, that's crazy. I just imagine like, okay, I'm feeling, you know, like socially anxious at school. Like you said, you never like looked up, so you're looking down, and like you get home and you finally look up, and then like, anyway, so you're gonna be talking and singing in front of.
Oh my gosh, I just think of it. It was just like such a personality split for me, because at home, like in my home environment or in church or in like festivals or anything, it was like, yes, you know, you're supposed to be energetic and dancing and all these things because that's what it is. But then at school, it was like completely small and isolated. And anytime somebody from my school world would ever see me in my personal world, whether it be at church or a Puerto Rican festival, like, yeah, there was like a crossover, you know, like, you're not supposed to be on the side of my life. And then they would like go back to school and be like, oh my gosh, I saw you do this and do that. Or your mom,
I know,
who volunteers to do things at the school where I knew people, and we had to do a whole like folkloric dance at the school where nobody knew my life. And they're like, oh my God, look at you dancing. And I'm like, I don't want attention, but now I have to do it because they told me to. It's a strange experience.
That's so funny. It's like, did you, I know that this was a little after your time, but like the Timmy Jimmy Power Hour, when like Jimmy Neutron and Timmy Turner were in the same movie or in the same show and the same place at the same time. It was like the biggest thing. Everyone was excited. It's not exciting, it's terrifying.
Well, it's because like people know different sides of you, and sometimes they may not know all of you. So it's always like, oh, I didn't know this about you. And I don't think that happens as often at all. Like I don't experience that anymore as an adult, but growing up, where, you know, it was so different because it was like completely quiet and shy and reserved. And then home, it was like loud and energized, and like it was, people didn't know. So it was like really anxiety provoking growing up. Yeah. But it's just like, I think about it because it's like, we definitely grew up performing, and there's so many things that like I think is typical childhood, but I'm like, it's not. It's just like, no, people don't grow up performing every other week, you know, or like every other month.
Isn't that so strange? Like, it's so strange to think about that. Like you said, we grew up on the stage, and
and none of us was famous yet, you know?
No, but I mean, that would have been nice. But the craziest thing though is that like I had stage fright. Yeah. Like I'm just so confused because like I could never do stuff at, like, you're right. I think it was because like we kind of grew up with that reassurance of like of the people around us, like our family, and like just seeing them, and like, you know, it felt safe. So it's like when we went to school, like
I also think we didn't have much, like, I guess we did have an option, but I didn't feel like we had much of an option with it anyways. Like, you're gonna do this, go ahead, come on, let's go. Like, it wasn't like, you're too scared, okay, you can sit this out. Like, no, it's just like, mom, like, no, everybody's scared, let's go ahead.
Yeah, no, I did not have that option. No, like I think yeah, it was kind of like, I can't, like, it's weird because like I have mixed feelings about it, but like I kind of liked it because it made me realize that I like to do certain things that I thought I would hate. Like, I never thought that I would enjoy performing because I'm like, you know how you said you were a very shy person at school. I was too. Like, didn't talk for the first few years of school. And then like, no, I mean, first grade, I was like completely silent. But then afterwards, like, I started to talk.
No, you did the same thing.
Yeah, I was really quiet. But then I started talking. But like, it's kind of also, I don't know, because like I started to talk, and then pretty soon after I started to talk, I got bullied. So, which you probably also at school, but like, and then eventually I was like, okay, I'm not going to talk again. So then I was like more quiet again. And then eventually,
oh my gosh, that sounds so similar.
Yeah, I didn't start to like fully talk like in class until high school, like late high school. I started to like actually respond to people, like respond to teachers, and like, because I wouldn't raise my hand even if I knew the answer.
Yep.
I'm not going to answer because I'm like, I'm going to look stupid, or like I know the answer too much. So I would pretend I didn't know anything. Sometimes I would even say the wrong answer when they would pick on me, because I was like, this is gonna, I'm not going to get. So like, it wasn't until like late high school, like I forced myself to do the talent show because I was like, I want to do this. Like, this will be fun.
Yeah.
So I like forced myself to do it, even though I was super like anxious. Even in college, like I still have a hard time participating in class. Like I'd be sitting there and I'm terrified to get picked on, and I'm 23. Like I'm sitting there and I'm like, please don't pick on me. Like I do the trick where you don't look into the professor's eyes.
Oh, look at them. No, and always pick the chair closest to the door.
I do that.
Because you could just sneak in and you can get out. Not in the back, not in the front. If it's the closest to the middle, but closest to the door. You just gotta be out.
No, it's like kind of this kind of really terrible. But like when I was used to have like, when I was like super duper anxious, like in the beginning of college, I would always sit in that chair, but it was for a terrible reason. It was because I would have to throw up. So like in the middle of the class, I would get an anxiety attack. Like, I'm gonna get up now, and I would like legitimately just run to the bathroom. But now I sit there because I don't want to get picked on. I'm just like, all right.
Yeah, it's like stay out of like the view of the professor or the teacher. Yeah, no, I didn't realize that you kind of were selectively mute growing up too, because it was exactly the same experience that I had, where I didn't talk for the first 2 years, and then I was like, I have to talk, but even then I still remained quiet, and I think I've mentioned this before, to the point where people in high school thought I didn't speak English. They thought I was like international student or something. They didn't think I could understand English because I didn't speak at all. And it wasn't that I didn't speak, like I would talk when I had to, but it was just like I was so extremely quiet that they didn't think I spoke. And in college too, like I was always a quiet one. And even still like learning, like in trainings and learning environments, I'm just like, I wonder more so too if it's like just the conditioning too of just learning that you're not supposed to say anything. You're supposed to sit quiet and just absorb everything. Like I have to push myself to participate because I'm tired of hearing people say the wrong things over and over, and you're like, yo, this is what it is. Can we move on now? Like, yeah.
Okay, I'm trying to censor myself, so I'm like, because I don't want to say, like, my question is for you. You are teachers in elementary school. How was your first grade teacher? Or like kindergarten? Like, were they very big on like sit, be quiet, hands folded, sit up straight? Because I had that too. You know what? It's fine. So Catholic school. So I like working at a Catholic school now. I was trying to be careful with my words. Yeah, I was trying to be careful with my words, but like now I realize I'm like, it doesn't matter. I actually get like triggered, and the response to a child not sitting up straight is that they're doing something wrong, or something like that. That kind of really gets me, because a lot of them, that is their like relaxed stance. Like that's how they are, just sit when they're relaxed. And I feel like they're conditioned, at least maybe I'm projecting, because like my personal experience was like when I feel like I was conditioned to sit, it was more like military style, like you must sit up and be tense at all times and like be ready, like be constantly ready. And if you sat any other way, if you did anything different, it was considered wrong. And like it's really weird because it's been like a long time, and from what I hear about other people, that was the same response. So it's like it's really weird like that they're still teaching that now. I don't think it's as bad because like
no, because I remember like when Papi would talk about growing up in private school, like obviously generations have changed in certain aspects, but I think like the main mindset or structure or framework from what I understand may still be similar, like the same foundational things. Because like Papi would be like, okay, they forced him to, he was a lefty and they forced him to do things with his right hand because the right hand was the godly way or the right way, whatever. Like, so he was forced to kind of write with his non-dominant hand, or writing a certain way, or like, you know, like the stories you would get of where like they would break out the ruler, or like, you know, do more corporal punishment. That doesn't seem to be as much the case from what I understand the experiences I have, but yeah, there still is from what I remember growing up in private school, and it was in Catholic school. I don't know, I can't say much because I went to the same school, I never switched, so I don't know how other schools may do it, but I remained in the same school for 10 years. But like looking back at it now as an adult, I'm like, man, like there was little opportunity to be a child in certain ways. Yeah, we had like recess after lunch, but we stayed in the same classroom with the same people for the whole day. Like there wasn't even a change from one classroom to another for different subjects or anything like that. So we did have to sit still the whole time. You couldn't really slouch down if you were feeling bad. You couldn't, you know, tap your pencil if you were feeling jittery. But what kind of person, not even just a child, I'm gonna take that out because even as adults, like as an adult in the work environment, usually like you can take a break. You could go to the bathroom when you want to. You could go get a drink of water or coffee. You could go walk around for a little bit, come back to work. But growing up as a child, that was not allowed. If I had to go to the bathroom, I had to make sure that the teacher believed that I needed to go to the bathroom because we had certain times to go to the bathroom. If we wanted to go outside of the normal bathroom time, we needed, like the teacher wouldn't believe us sometimes, and then the kids would have accidents. So it was a bit, there were some situations where like I look back and I'm like, you know, kids are just gonna be kids and need a little bit more time to energize. And even the simple thought sometimes, like when I see it now, of like when a person or a child is playing with something, like fidgeting with something, does not mean that they're not paying attention. Actually, the fidgeting and playing with something may be helping them pay attention even better. You know, so there's a lot of, it was weird because I remember when I went to high school, I had different subject matters. We had little breaks in between classes. We have block scheduling, so we had like 15 minutes in between our classes. We were able to walk outside in between classes. So there was a lot more freedom. We had a lot more freedom. Because I went to Freedom High School.
Wow.
Leave
that joke.
I'm like the queen of that.
What a pun.
But there was still like, they had more autonomy or like more freedom to just be a normal human. And I think I responded better to that than I did in growing up in a very rigid and regimented.
Yeah, when you're a child, you're a little bit more fidgety too. So it makes just
That's
more.
What I'm saying. Like as a young child, you have more difficulty.
That
than you would as a teenager.
Oh my gosh, it's so strange. And like I was like, I gotta censor myself because I work at a Catholic school. But I'm like, the interesting thing that I've noticed in working is that every classroom is so drastically different with how they not only implement the material, but what they consider to be misbehaving. And like, it's interesting because
I think that varies from person to person, like from teacher to teacher, or
right. Yeah.
And really confusing.
Yeah, it's so confusing. And it must be so confusing for the kids too, because they go from one teacher who believes that eating snacks, drinking water outside of snack time, well, they don't really have snack time, but like outside of breakfast or lunch is considered misbehaving. And then I have another teacher, like the very next grade, that says, have a snack, have a drink of water, like, but raise your hand beforehand so that way I know that that's happening. And then I have one of the kids raise their hand, Miss, can I please have a drink of water? And her eyes got really big. Like, she's wearing a mask and you can still see how big her eyes get. And she's like, what is this, prison? Yes, go drink water, eat food. Like, here, come here. And she has snacks for the kids. She has bowls and utensils for the kids. And in between time, when everyone's done, they even have like an active time where they can, when they can just like, they toss a ball around and they throw it into this like
girl, you're in class for 7 hours. You may get like a 20-minute break, if that, for lunch. I remember like being back home, like in the winter, there's snow outside. So like when it was cold and if it was icy outside, you would not be able to play outside. So you're just sitting in a break, you know, like you're having cafeteria and you're having a lunchtime for a few minutes, and you can't be too loud. You know, if you're too loud in the cafeteria, they will ring the bell and tell you to be quiet. And it's like, you know, like in my mind, like now as an adult looking back, I'm like, you've been quiet all day for 7 hours and you have a small little, it's like being loud and talking loudly and getting excited in lunchroom. What danger does that pose for kids? Or like, I can understand if there's arguing or fighting, but no, it was just like excitement to be talking and laughing really loudly. But that was like, no, there's a cat. So I really don't, I've never taught, so I don't understand the reason behind it. There may be a reason that I'm missing, but it just doesn't make sense to me. And then like you don't have the time to really use your energy as a kid to play. You know, like our recess was stopped after a certain grade level because we were too old. And it's like, how? Like 8 years old is too old to play. Like that doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
As a kid, what can you do? You're really just gonna follow what the adult is gonna say. You really don't have any option. And then
yeah, that's the thing. Like, just because they're kids doesn't mean they don't have rights. Like, they're humans. We don't know what they've gone through. So I don't understand that.
Well, I think about it just like when we were talking about being quiet and like being like, I think about, well, that's either you learn to just cut your needs or like numb it out and not trust what your body's telling you. So it's like, I'm just gonna sit here. Oh my God. No, I'm just thinking like, is that why for so long, like I was scared to use the bathroom? Like, to be honest, like I wouldn't like go use the restroom. Even like in college, I would just like hold it because I did not want to interrupt the classrooms or like, and to the point where it was just like, it's extremely scary. And I say extremely scary because you're in pain or like you're not gonna make it. And then like I would not go to the bathroom. I always just had trained in my mind to like, just wait till you get home. Just wait till you get home because it was like not allowed really to interrupt. I don't know if that's the reason, but I'm just like thinking also, like, that was a big thing. Like I would like, I would talk to your brother all the time and I'd be like on the phone driving and I'm like, so I'm like 15 minutes away or 20 minutes away. You think I should stop at the bathroom or can I just make it? I'll just make it. He's like, this is a problem for you often. You like, why don't you just go to the bathroom?
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
That's funny.
Like that's the thing, like a necessary bodily function.
Yeah, you learn to just not trust your body because you're not allowed to, you know.
Yeah, and then you shut down that necessity, and then like I don't even know, like your need to having to stand up to take care of yourself, like you kind of learn Yeah.
And like I think about this, like people who are more active, like it's not
Right.
they need to move, like they learn better. Like we don't think twice of forcing them to sit still and be quiet for 3 hours. Like that's okay. I don't know. I think people did have different needs. People learn differently, and sometimes like I get it. Like in school systems and classrooms, it's one person for how many kids? That's a lot of pressure. And you have to meet the same goals, but it is difficult when people have different talents and skills. I don't know.
I don't know though, like
I just learned to shut up, be quiet, keep my head down, keep it
like moving. But the thing is, like, teaching though, like, I know it's not hard to treat kids like people and with respect. Like it's really not. And like I teach 9 classes every Wednesday, and I know it's different because people are teaching like several classes, like 9 classes every day, so I'm I may not understand like the pressure, but like I do understand the pressure of like teaching and having like a lesson plan and having to finish that. You have to keep going, and it's not like, I don't like to yell at the kids. I've only ever yelled at them like a couple of times, and I hate it every time. Like, and it's like, it's not necessary to belittle them. Like, honestly, that's not part of disciplinary action. Like, that's just traumatizing to be able to belittle them and tell them they can't do something, or, oh, just like always, you're not listening. That's a surprise. Like, that instills in them. Yeah. That instills in them like that everyone's expecting them to misbehave, and like that they're not capable.
Yeah, and like I've heard a while ago, just like the way you talk to children eventually becomes their inner voice. So like, and I'm like, oh my gosh, you think about it for yourself. Like when you think back to like how you talk to yourself, and you're like, how did I learn that to be true? You're like, usually at some point somebody said that, and you kind of adopted it as being your truth. Do you think, okay, now here's because again, I've never worked as a teacher, and my heart also goes out to the teachers because I know there's a lot of limited resources, or like there's a lot of demands on what product is expected with
Right.
little support. So I'm wondering, because I know you're working as a teacher, as a substitute, and you're kind of seeing this in your frustration with how kids are being treated, but I wonder, well, how realistic or how feasible do you see treating kids like that when maybe you as a teacher are going through a lot of stress?
Well, I guess, well, you don't take it out on the kids. like to me, it's just common sense. Like,
she said, just don't take it out on the kids. Hello.
Yeah, like don't take it out on the kids. It's just that has to do with just being a regular human being. Implies like I would believe it would imply to not take your anger out on anyone, because that is your own anger, and you have to evaluate why you're feeling that way, and take the necessary steps to take care of yourself in that situation. Actually, a educational setting, you need to be careful with how you're talking to anyone, and that goes like especially for children. Like, evaluating how you're talking to them, and then after you say something wrong, you have to apologize. Like, I don't see that. Like, normalize apologizing to kids, because that is essential. They'll realize that they'll see you as
food they deserve. Yeah, and you're kind of modeling it, number one, and they're seeing themselves really as a human too, of the fact that, okay, I am worthy of respect and being cared for, and like, and also a big lesson in just being able, like a big lesson that a child receives sometimes in hearing an adult apologize to them for, is that adults can also make mistakes too. And it's not about not making a mistake and being perfect, that I have to be perfect, or like grown-ups will always be perfect. But it's the fact that what you do with that mistake, we mend it, we change it, we try again, we hold ourselves accountable. So when adults don't apologize to kids, and as backwards as it may seem to a lot of people, when you don't apologize to kids, well, you're teaching them that they have to be perfect and it's horrible to fail, or the opposite, that you don't trust your own judgment, that the adults will always be right, and they never really get
and and honestly, that same level of thinking can also result in excusing things like sexual abuse, like
or mistreatment.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Right, or mistreatment, but it's just like, this adult told me to do this, and they're an adult and they're always right, so
and I always have to listen to adults. Yes. Ooh.
It's not right. And like, I make mistakes all the time. Like, when I'm teaching, I'm constantly making mistakes, and
when Eden was going, like when my nephew was in last year in virtual school because of the pandemic. Okay, so we're in the same house, right? So we could hear his teacher like instructing the kids and teaching, but I would hear her say that all the time. Like, some of the kids would be like, "Oh, Miss So and So, like you have a mistake, or you made a mistake," and then I was like, "Ooh, that little kid is ballsy." Oh man, and they're like fifth graders, like I'm like, oh kids, no, you don't correct no damn teacher. That's me, my own internal monologues. I'm like, you just gotta keep quiet. And the teacher responded so beautifully all the time. Like it was like she would be like, you know what? I am wrong. Thank you for correcting me, because some kids, and she would go on, she's like, some kids believe that it's not okay to correct an adult, but adults, we also make mistakes too. And I'm helping you guys learn, but you're also helping me learn. When I make a mistake, I'm learning from you guys, so thank you for correcting me. And I was like, what? I think that was more for my inner child to hear than my nephew. I was like, who is this saint of a lady teaching my nephew? And she would say things like that all the time. Aww. It was crazy. Like, and it's possible, and the kids listened.
I've seen, unfortunately, a lot of teachers, and I wish I could say that was an exaggeration, like a lot. I don't want to use the word a lot, but I've seen a lot of teachers, when a student corrects them, they get angry that they said something like that. And instead of saying, thank you for correcting me, they tell them, no, this is how it is. And then sometimes they even gaslight them, because then like, this gets me so mad. They're like, oh no, I never said that. I said this. And like,
it's okay to make mistakes, people. Just general life rule. Like, it's okay to make mistakes and admit that you made mistakes. Right. Okay. You don't have to be perfect.
As someone who is sitting in a classroom, who is an adult, who I'm like, no, she said that. Like, these kids think they're going crazy because they think that, or they're being humiliated because they think that she didn't say that, but she said that. And she like said, or like if a kid is like, oh, like, miss, like, that's not right, and feel like they belittle them for not raising their hand, or like they belittle them for the way they said it, and they don't say thank you.
Funny, because I remember like being like, as you're talking about this, I remember in middle school. Oh man, I remember middle school where just like we had a project of some sort, and that teacher tended to yell all the time. And when she made a mistake, she realized she made a mistake. We had like, and then she yelled at us because, why didn't you tell me? Why didn't you just ask me and tell me I'm approachable? You can talk to me. Like, why didn't you just let me know? And I'm like, look, and they were like all like scared and frozen. We're like, because this, like, we're gonna get yelled at if we correct you, so that's why we didn't tell you. But now you're yelling at us for not correcting you.
Like, and then
you're not gonna say anything.
Yes, and then think about it. Like, these kids,
it's hard.
Usually, like, the thing is, usually kids have several teachers for different things, like maybe specials classes or something else, and teachers may yell at them for correcting them, and then the next class they go to, they get yelled at for not correcting them.
For not speaking up. Why won't you just speak up? Because I was taught to shut up. That's why.
Yeah.
What do you want me to do? I'm always wrong.
there has to be compassionate with it.
Oh man. Yeah, it was such a different world when and again, like when I went to school, it was very small. So it was the same people, and I was in the same school from pre-K until 8th grade. But when I went into high school, and it was a public high school, and there was just a lot of people, different groups, more teachers. Like, yeah, they were good teachers, they were not so good teachers. But it was like it was such a different world. And I thought it was just me, but then I had conversations with other family members who went from a private school to a public school, and like had similar reactions of like, whoa, there's more choices, there's more options. That one thing didn't work, we were able to go and try something else. Like you had more freedom to explore things. Whether it was social groups, whether it was teachers, whether it was activities, like it was just like oh, this is not how it is everywhere. At least for me, like I remember growing up thinking that it was safer, because that was kind of the stories that my adults in my life had shared of like, it's safer to be in a small setting where you can have that individualized. And I know for some people that is very much true. Some people can get lost in the system, but like when I look back at it, and because even with college, I was like, no, it's better to be in a small space because, you know, I want to be safe and I want to have that one-on-one time. And I always look back at like some of my choices in school, and I'm like, I should have gone to a bigger, bless you.
I've had to sneak
the allergies, yes. But I just think back and I'm like, I think for me personally, it would have been better to go to like a larger school setting in some different spots, just to have more variety and recognize that, you know, I could probably have maybe developed a lot of different skills earlier, or had like social, like different social groups, you know, learn more about myself and having a larger setting, than trying to stay safe in a small setting.
Yeah, because like
I mean that work as well for me.
Right. And like, because technically, yes, that's possible in a small group of people, but the thing is, you have to alternate. Like you have to talk to more people in a public school when it's bigger, especially in high school, because there are different people in your classes. Like it's not like you said, it's not like you have one group of people that you go through and they're always with you all the time. So
yeah, like for me, I thought like looking back, growing up in the same school, going to the same school for 10 years and being with the same group of people and peers from the time I was 3 or 4 years old until the time that I was 13 to 14 years old. It wasn't very helpful in the fact that it's just like, if you didn't get along with that group of people, you were screwed. You know, if you didn't fit in, you were screwed. So it's just like, you think that, okay, there's ought to be something. Well, I thought, I can't say you, but I was like, okay, maybe I'm different. I just don't belong. All these things, and that became my my belief system growing up, and realizing like when I went to a public school and it was bigger, and I was like, there's other people that are actually similar. There's some group of people that, yes, I'm not for, and that's cool. But then there's other people who actually share a lot of similarities. So it's like, I didn't have that realization until I was a teenager, because I wasn't exposed to that. Right. So it wasn't like I was wrong or I was different. It was just like, I just wasn't around or exposed to the group of people that really click. For some people, like I guess having the small private settings is really, really helpful, because I do need that one-on-one. I don't think I needed that one-on-one.
Right. So everyone has a way of learning.
You can't really treat every kid the same.
Exactly. That is the number one thing. The number one theme, if anyone gets anything out of that. I apologize of like what you were talking about, like, but I was like writing things down, because like when you know, it's kind of like my brain is kind of like a river that branches out into several, like, you know how it is, like
hey, flow into the dead. That's the Catholic school teaching. Let me tell you, that's what I took out of Catholic school. Catholic school has taught me all the songs that continue to be like theme songs in my brain. I'm out there mowing the lawn and I'm like, little by little by. Like I just have all these Catholic schoolgirl songs.
Oh, that's so cute. While you were talking, I wrote things down because my brain is like a river that goes into several different branches. And when you were talking about how when you went from that private school setting that was like kind of like almost one-on-one learning, is just very tiny groups of classes, to the the bigger like public school setting.
Yeah, I had more variety.
Right. It made me think about my personal experience as well, when I did the same thing, and I realized that.
Did you do the same thing? Like, did you have did you stay in private school until you went to high school? Was that
no?
No, okay.
No, I stayed from first through fifth grade, so I was in private school for like 5 years.
So
I realized right, and like I always thought that maybe I got more bullied in that small setting, but really I think it was because it was just the same people all the time, kind of like what we were talking about. I'm not saying it's better because everyone has their own way of their own preferred method of education, but like when I personally went to a public school from a private school, it was a lot less bullying because the people that were bullying me were always in my classes. And then now, if the people, because obviously I was still bullied. No, but for real, like I would be talking to myself in school. So like, come on, of course. But like, even in middle school, like the people who bullied me, at least I'd be like, all right, they're not going to be in these classes. And then I was like a lot more relaxed, And the other thing is when you were talking. Right. And then another thing is when you were talking about how like you thought that you're like, I'm different, like no one will, or not even no one will blah, blah, blah. It's more me.
Yeah, it's like, I don't belong here. Like, I don't belong. I'm too different. Yeah.
Exactly. I'm too different. In, again, small groups in that private school setting. And a lot of times certain kids were exemplary kids and they weren't like us or like a certain type of person. And then when you go to public school, like you said, you meet people who are like you, when there's not even public school, just bigger schools.
Yeah.
You meet people who are like you, and
I think just in general, when you have more experiences, like different, and it doesn't mean like in years, but experiences in changing it up and changing your atmosphere and your environment, like giving, I don't know, for me, like I think as a child I would have benefited from, even if I couldn't change my school, to have different like social activities where I could meet different people where it wasn't always the same people over and over. Because like you said, if somebody knew like that you wet your pants in kindergarten, you're gonna keep hearing about it until you're in 5th or 6th grade because it's the same group of people.
Right.
So it's difficult, but if you just have more experiences, you get to know that there's different types of people around. And then you can really explore.
Like fresh start, especially if you see people who are like you and they're being treated with respect. And then you realize, okay, so there are people like me and they're not bad. Like, I don't know, like at least for me, I was like, I'm a weirdo. I do this and I do that. And then when I saw students that were like me, and I don't know, it was like people liked them and they enjoyed their presence and I liked them too. And then meeting people like me helped me like myself more, because then I realized, oh, I don't know what people were talking about. I'm great. Like, you know what I mean?
Yes, learning to, well, because you accept other people and they accept you, and you kind of little by little with those experiences, you're like, okay, it's okay to be yada yada. It's okay to be Amarilis. Like, okay, like, it can be all these different things that make me awesome, because it's like you have to pick and choose. I can only be the smart one, but I can't be like, liked by my peers. Or like, I can only be the funny one, but I can't be good at school. Like, no, you could be all these different things. But you, again, it's like, sometimes you just gotta be exposed to the fact that that reality can exist. And if you don't see it, you don't see it.
The world is definitely not a Disney Channel movie. We're like,
and that made it worse because you're like, oh, yep, you see, that's how school is. No, it's not.
And then the bullies see that and they're like, oh, so I can say whatever, major loser. Like, I actually got called that in middle school, and I literally, in my response, like the first time I like stood up for myself, I was like, you've been watching too much Camp Rock. And then everyone laughed, and I was like, wow.
We went around the world with our conversation.
Oh my God, I'm sorry.
We had to make up for the year that we decided to disappear. But honestly, I think we're just being authentic.
I liked it. This has been a fun time. Like, when we do this, I feel like it's just like a phone call with you. Yeah. Except, like, obviously, we, like, don't talk about everything we usually talk.
You know, some things we can, like, bring in, and some things that's personal.
Yeah, I don't want people to know what kind of poop I'm doing. Like, that's the kind of stuff we talk about on the phone. I'm like, Amarilis, I've had a blah, blah, blah poop right now.
Oh, I'm like, no, girl.
I'm not going to take this to the toilet. Like, I sometimes I call you and I'm on the toilet. And I'm like, I can't do that on the podcast. Like,
I think we would be banned. Like, that's not appropriate. That may be a good idea for somebody else, like podcast in the toilet. I'm sure somebody can take that idea. We'll pitch it to you. You can go ahead, do whatever you want to do with it, but that's just not us. Like, it's not gonna work for me and Gabi. Maybe not right now. Maybe in another 25 years. I don't know. But no. That's
a health podcast. We're not a health.
Oh my God, that's funny.
What are you grateful for?
I initially was thinking, let's see. Well, I never know how to just say one thing. So I get to say everything.
That's good.
Initially, I was thinking, I am grateful for trips because I've been able to take a couple of trips the past couple months. Doing trips that like I had dreamed of for years, but just never, sat down and actually did it. And then when I committed myself, I'm gonna do it next year. It just popped up. The opportunity popped up. I'm like, okay, I guess I'm gonna do it this year. So I went with technically strangers.
Oh, strangers.
Yeah. So it's like friends of a friend, but it's like something that was challenging, but not as challenging as it would have been for me had I not done the work that I've been doing for myself.
Right.
So there was a lot of opportunities or experiences I wouldn't have been able to enjoy had I not got. So it's just like such an expansion to take trips with strangers and recognize, oh, look at you, look at the fruit of your healing. This is amazing.
I'm proud of you. Here's a hug. That's gonna hurt your ears later.
That's funny.
I am grateful for honesty today. Ooh. I'm grateful for honesty because it helps me grow. When we're honest with ourselves, it really understands who we really are and how to be happy. So honesty is what I'm super grateful for today.
Wow. Ladies and gents who decided to sit with us for this, however long this podcast is, we do appreciate you guys being around and listening. And we appreciate your feedback. Hit us up on IAmHerePod, on IG, on I said IG, well, you know what it is, Instagram, Facebook, IAmHerePod@gmail.com. And we're really glad that you are here.
And we are here with you. Now we are.
Sometimes, but we'll come back, like, okay, we're here now. All right.
Another rainy day, looking for a place to stay. I could find the words to say with the familiar face and the comfy pillowcase. I see the steam from the kitchen. My world's brighter when you visit. No more weight on my shoulders. Our hearts warming up, though outside it gets colder. I consider it a privilege just to hear you and hold you. Thank you for the blessings, the tears and the laughs and the love and the lessons. This one goes out to my brethren. Let me listen for a second. The connections are close, here they anchor your boat. Come and center your core when you're looking for more. Lay your back on the shore, though there's anger and war. You'll find love through this door. You'll find love through this door. I am wise, I am strong. I am loved, I am here. I am wise, I am strong. I am loved, I am here. I am loved, I am here.